A Friday Sports Riot on SportstownChicago.com.
And this is the Friday Sports Riot. I'm Ryan Hoppy.
And I'm Ryan Stuppridge.
You can call the show at 630-403-5200. It's 630-403-5200. And Ryan, who do we have on the phone line right now?
From 87.7 The Game, the new and awesome sports station in Chicago, we have Ben Finfer. Hey, Ben.
Guys, what's going on? Good to be with you. I mean, do I have to be named Ryan to be on this show? Is it okay to veer from that or what?
Yeah, that's okay.
Real quick, how has everything been so far at 87.7 The Game?
Everything has been outstanding. I have found the vending machines, which is always the first thing I do when I get a new job.
Yes.
I know where the bathrooms are. No, everything's great. It's been a ton of fun. You know, very overwhelming at first, but starting to settle in a little bit, and I think we're having a good time over there.
Let's start off by talking about some baseball and the Cubs. Now we know that you're a diehard Cubs fan. Is there anything positive to look for the team this year? Any bright spots?
Yeah, there's a lot of bright spots, I think. And when you talk about the future, not this year, there's some things to look for this year. You know, hoping that Castro and Rizzo respond and return to form, and maybe you see some of those youngsters come up like Baez and perhaps Bryant at some point this year. But there's a lot to look forward to. The minor league system looks good. You got Theo Epstein; he knows what he's doing, and the owner seems to have at least a decent plan in place. We'll see if they can follow through. But the future is all you have to look forward to for the Cubs. The present isn't so good.
And what type of year do you think Rizzo will have for the Cubs?
Rizzo? Well, it's tough to put exact numbers on it, but
yeah,
I would think he'd be better than last year. I can say that much. I mean, what I hope for is that, he's the type of guy who gives you 30 home runs, 100 RBI, I don't know, an on-base percentage around 350 or something like that. Something like that. You want to see him get better from last year, so it gives you hope that he'll continue to improve and turn into a legit middle-of-the-order guy. So that's what I'm looking for from him.
Now, out of all the prospects that the Cubs have in their organization right now in the minor leagues, who do you think will get the call up first of anything? Is it Javier Baez? Is it Chris Bryant? Who do you see?
It looks like it's going to be Javi Baez, and I think he's the one who's closest. He's going to start the regular season in AAA. They've said that for all those people who hope that he starts with the majors, it's not going to happen. So he'll start at AAA, and he'll be the first one up unless something happens, if there's an injury or something. And the other guys, I think Bryant's starting at AA. I think Almora is going to be possibly at single A, maybe AA.
Yeah.
And same with Jorge Soler. So, yeah, Baez will be the first one we see.
Now, do you think that Rick Renteria is going to be a good manager for this team this year? How will he work with these new Cub players?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, who the hell knows anymore? I mean, these guys said Dale Swain was going to be good. He was not that good. I don't know much about Rick Renteria. I hadn't heard his name before the Cubs started talking to him for the job. So we'll see. I mean, time will tell. Listen, we didn't know who Joe Madden was when he got the job in Tampa. I remember my reaction to that hiring was to say, who the hell is this guy? He's turned out to be one of the best managers in baseball. So the fact that I don't know much about him, I'm not saying that's a negative. I'm just saying I don't know much about him at this point. We'll see.
Let's move on to the south side of town with the White Sox. Do you see this team competing with the Tigers, or do you think the Tigers could have all the way to the postseason with the AL Central?
Well, it's going to be tough for the Sox to compete this year. They're rebuilding. They haven't used that word.
Yeah.
They're not using the same words that the Cubs are using, but they're rebuilding. And it's going to take some time to get some of these young players at their best. They have a lot of good young players that should be fun to watch. But I don't think it's going to be possible for them to compete with the Tigers and the Indians and maybe the Royals if they can play like they did late last season. It's going to be tough this year. But, I don't think they'll be as bad as last year. I think they're probably optimistically a mid-80s win team, more realistically high 70s, low 80s. But, no, they won't win a division this year, that's for sure.
And now, since this is his last year on the White Sox, how good of a year will Paul Konerko have on the South Side?
You know, for some reason, I have a feeling he's going to have a really good year.
Yeah.
And I think his part-time role will be good for him. He'll be able to sit down a little bit more, not have to play every day, not have to play in the field every time. And, you know, he's not going to probably have enough at-bats to go with 30 homers, 100 RBI. But I think he's going to go out with a bang. I expect him to have a pretty good season.
Do you see Chris Sale being in the Cy Young talks again, like he has been the last few years? And do you think that he can maybe carry this team and be the face of this franchise for a long time?
I think Chris Sale, as long as he's healthy, will always be in Cy Young conversation. And that's always going to be the question for him is health. But if you can tell me that he's going to throw 200 innings, 200-plus innings, then, yeah, he's absolutely always going to be in Cy Young conversation. That's just how good he is. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball. So, you know, he's, I think, already the face of the franchise. Certainly after Konerko's gone, that'll continue. When you have an ace of that caliber, he's almost always going to be the face of the franchise. So I think that'll be the case for Chris Sale as well.
Now, do you think that the White Sox could start Matt Davidson at third base, or do you think that they'll have Marcus Semien maybe start there, or do you think that Davidson could get the call-up?
Well, it sounds like Davidson has a chance. Rick Hahn says he's got every opportunity to do it. I'm sure they'd like him to win that spot, but they also don't feel obligated to have to give it to him. He's going to have to earn it this spring. He's going to have a good spring, offensively, defensively. And the good thing for the Sox is that they do have some other options. They're not forced to put Matt Davidson there. So if they feel like he needs some seasoning at AAA, they could use Keppinger over there. Like you said, they could use Semien. They've got options over there. So they're in a good spot to not have to force Matt Davidson into the majors and just deal with him the right way to make sure he's developing at the right pace.
And now every year we keep waiting for Gordon Beckham to have a year where he shows how good we think he could be. Could this be that year, or is Gordon Beckham always going to be who we think he is now?
I think Gordon Beckham is probably who we have seen already. I don't know. You know, I'm not saying that the guy can't have a better year. It looks like if he would have stayed healthy last year, he probably would have had a better year. But, you know, I don't think we're going to see much like we did in his first season. I think that was just a good few months. I think he could be a good player, but just not a guy who can carry an offense. He could be a second baseman for a team that wins a World Series. There's no doubt. He's good enough defensively. If he could hit 260 with a 330 on-base percentage, which would be a big leap for him, so it's not necessarily an easy thing, then absolutely he can be a part of things. But if you're waiting for him to get back to the way he was for those few months of his rookie season, I think you're going to be waiting a long time.
And now I want to get your take on the Bulls real quick. Once Derrick Rose went down, a lot of people thought that they were supposed to tank and not even try. What has your take been so far on this team as they are third in the East right now?
Well, I think they've been very impressive. I think that when they traded away Luol Deng after Rose was hurt, that it looked like they were going to tank. But then again, the Eastern Conference is so bad that you can tank and still make the playoffs this season, as you've seen from some other teams. So I did think they'd be a playoff team. I did not think they would play as well as they have over the last month. And that's been very impressive. They're not championship caliber. We know that. They're not going to win a championship this year. They're not as good as the Heat or the Pacers. But the way they've played this season under the circumstances has been amazing. And Joakim Noah has been great. And Taj Gibson has been great. And DJ Augustine has come out of nowhere to really help this team. I think it just shows you how good of a coach Tom Thibodeau is. And if you needed any more evidence of it, you got it this year. He's definitely one of the top 2 or 3 coaches in the NBA.
Do you see any truth to the rumors that Tom Thibodeau might be coaching the Knicks next year, or do you think that's all just sort of a fallacy?
I don't think it's going to happen. I'm about 100% sure that Tom Thibodeau will be with the Bulls next year. Both he and John Paxson and Gar Forman for that matter, have commented on it. Tom Thibodeau says he wants to be in Chicago. He signed a contract. John Paxson said, why would they get rid of Tom Thibodeau? Also, he has a contract. So he's not going anywhere. I'm not saying that sometime in the future he won't. In fact, we know he's not going to be here forever. But next year, he'll be with the Bulls. And the Bulls would be stupid to let this guy go, and they know that. So he's not going anywhere anytime soon.
And before we let you go, where can people find your work online or on the radio or on TV? Because I know you're on Sports Talk Live sometimes, so that's pretty interesting.
That's right, yes, I am. I'm all over the place. You can't miss me, even if you want to.
Yeah.
They can, of course, catch me on 87.7 FM, The Game. You can find us online at thegamechicago.com. Or if you have one of those fancy phones, you just go to your TuneIn Radio app, which is free to download, by the way. You could listen on that. And then, Comcast Sportsnet, not a set date, but usually every other week I'm on the Kaplan Show, Sports Talk Live, which is on at 5:30 or 5 o'clock, depending if there's play-by-play. So that's where you could see me, Comcast Sportsnet every other week, and The Game 87.7.
All right, well, thanks for coming on the show, Ben Finfer, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys. Have fun. Don't do anything crazy over there, all right?
All right.
Thanks, Ben.
All right. Talk to you guys later.
Bye.
And that was Ben Finfer of 87.7 The Game. It was a good segment. We got two guys from The Game.
Yep.
We're balling over here.
The Friday Sports Riot on SportsTownChicago.com.